Hello dear students, I am Dr. Aradhana Goswami from Government Lehri PG College, Chirmiri, Korea, Chhattisgarh. Today I am going to teach Wilfred Owen's Disabled. The whole lecture is divided into introduction, central idea of the poem, themes in the poem, stanza-wise explanation, conclusion, and use of figures of speech in the poem. Wilfred Owen was an English poet who was born on 18 March 1893 in Oswestry, Shropshire. He began writing poetry as a teenager. He was deeply influenced by poet Siegfried Sassoon. Reading Sasson's poems and discussing his work with Sassoon revolutionized Owen's style and his conception of poetry. Owen's work was characterized by his anger at the cruelty and waste of war, which he experienced during service on the Western Front. Being a poet and soldier during the First World War, he was one of the leading poets of the World War, and his shocking, realistic war poetry on the horrors of trenches and gas warfare and stood in stark contrast both to the public's perception of war at the time and to the confidently patriotic words written by earlier war poets who had a romantic view of war. Wilfred Owen used his poems to express his negative attitude to the First World War. His use of comparisons and harsh imagery keeps his readers entertained throughout the whole poem. On 4 November 1918, he was killed while attempting to lead his men across the Sambre Canal at Ours. Central idea of the poem. Owen wrote Disabled during World War I in 1917, where he would have observed men like the one in the poem. This poem is about one particular soldier, his past, his war experience, and his future. This poem is about a young man who joined the army because he thought it was heroic and that everyone would love him for so. He later becomes legless and soon shot at elbow. Not only has he lost his legs and an arm, he also lost the meaning of his life. When he comes back to his hometown, he does not exactly get the heroic welcome back as he was expecting he would. Owen writes from the perspective of a double empty veteran from whom the battlefield took away all the appreciation for life. This persona decides to reflect upon the various reasons that made him enroll. In this poem, the persona presents the effect of war on young male adults sent to war, their loss of physical abilities, innocence, and youth, as well as society's insufficient recognition of their actions during the war. The poet is exploring the theme of the futility of war and critique of society. The universal theme embedded in the poem is the separation that war creates between those who stayed at home and those who fought. Owen's Disabled explores the effects of war on those who lived through it by comparing the present life of an injured soldier to his past hopes and accomplishments. In the poem Disabled, Owen mainly uses comparisons to draw contrast between his current state and his former life in order to show loss. Wilfred Owen uses the poem's title itself, Disabled, to display the theme of loss. The title is quite important as it is what grabs the reader's attention and gives a brief description of the poem, and the title Disabled certainly does that and is to the point. This gives the reader a picture in their mind of loss in the poem due to imagery and the use of language throughout the poem. Major themes in Disabled. The number one is disability. Owen had first-hand experience of disability in its widest sense, that is, the way in which the breakdown of body or mind affects the ability of human beings to function normally. This is the most obvious theme of the poem. The second is the pity of war. However, Disabled, all of Owen's poem is also a powerful evocation of the theme of the pity of war, theme of bravery and sacrifice of the men. Owen wants to recognize the bravery and the self-sacrifice of the men. Owen reminds us of their sacrifice in the phrase, poured it down shell holes till the veins ran dry. Now we shall explain the poem stanza-wise. He sat in a wheelchair waiting for dark and shivered in his ghastly suit of grey, legless, soon shot at elbow through the park. Voices of boys rang, saddening like a hymn, voices of play and pleasure after day, till gathering sleep had mothered them from him. The first stanza starts with the depressing description of a lone man sitting in a wheelchair in a park, being unable to walk or indulge in any of the activities involving exercise going around him. He is dressed formally, but his suit is cut at the waist, which shows that he has lost his legs and he waits helplessly, listening to the voices of young children which sadden him, as they remind him of something he cannot ever have again. Owen casts a pall over this young man with a depiction of sad voices of boys echoing throughout the park, perhaps as they echoed on the battlefield. The voices throw him back into his memory, which is what will constitute the rest of the poem until the last few lines. Words such as waiting and sleep reinforce the sense that this soldier's life is interminable to him now. Second stanza. About this time, town used to swing so gay, when glow lamps budded in the light blue trees, and gulls glanced lovelier as the air grew dim. In the old times before, he threw away his knees. Now he will never feel again how slim girls' waists are, or how warm their subtle hands. All of them touch him like some queer disease. In the second stanza, he remembers what his life had been like before his injury. At this time of the night, after the work had been done for the day, the town had come to life at night. He remembers how the streets used to light up and how the girls would become more inviting and alluring. He regrets losing his legs, for he knows that he will never again dance holding a woman or feel their soft slight touches, as they now only touch him out of pity, like as if he is a strange abnormality in their normal life. Third stanza. There was an artist silly for his face, for it was younger than his youth. Last year now he is old, his back will never brace. He is lost his color very far from here, poured it down shell holes till the veins run dry, and half his lifetime lapsed in the hot rays, and leap of purple spurted from his thigh. In the third stanza, he remembers once there was such vitality, such sheer life in him that an artist had been insistent on drawing his face. For just a few years ago, it spoke of innocence and clarity of heart. But now his face has become weathered with experience and sorrow, and he can't even support himself, both literally and figuratively. He has become pale as if all his life had been leached out of him through the wound on his thighs, and he feels that half of his life is already over. Next stanza. One time he liked a blood smear down his leg after the matches carried shoulder high. It was after football when he had drunk a peg. He thought he had better join. He wonders why someone had said he had looked a god in kilts. That's why, and maybe too, to please his mate. That was it, to please the giddy jilts. He asked to join. He didn't have to beg. Smiling, they wrote his lie. Aged 19 years. Germans he scarcely thought of. All their guilt and Austria's did not move him, and no fears of fear came yet. He thought of jeweled hills for daggers in plate socks, of smart salutes and care of arms, and leave and pay arrears. Spread the corpse and hints for young recruits, and soon he was drafted out with drums and cheers. In the fourth and fifth stanzas, reveal the figures' motivations for joining the army. They are they ecstasy after a victorious football game, drunk a peg, line 23, and to please the Gidijils, line 27. The decision hence encloses a feeling of euphoria, rapidness, and desire for success. Influenced by propaganda and pressure from society, the persona presents to us here. In fact, a possible scenario which reveals a lack of reasoning on his part. This is probably true for most soldiers. This is further emphasized by the statement Germans he scarcely thought of, line 30. Most of the soldiers in World War I believed that by going to war they would turn into heroic masculine figures with girls waiting at home for them. They never considered the full implications of their decision. The idea of these benefits is shattered in this poem, as the figure is anti war and reveals the truthful effects of war, loss of youth and innocence, and helplessness. Finally, the persona criticizes the people in power for allowing him to enroll though he was underage. This is revealed in line 29 when, smiling, they wrote his lie, aged 19 years. In this line, the sadness of the soldier's plight is heightened. His motivations underline the culpability of society for his choice, leading the reader to feel a sense of pity and compassion for the figure, as he was simply too young and innocent to understand the full implications of his actions. Some cheered him home, but not as crowds cheer gold. Only a solemn man who brought him fruits thanked him and then inquired about his soul. Now he will spend a few sick years in institutes and do what things the rules consider wise and take whatever pity they may dole. Tonight he noticed how the women's eyes passed from him to the strong men that wear wool. How cold and late it is. Why don't they come and put him into bed? Why don't they come? The final string of the poem completes the circle by bringing the reader back to the figure's present. This is underlined by the use of now to start the paragraph, which results in a change in mood. The figure comes to the resolution that he will spend a few years in institutes and do what things the rules consider wise, line 40 and 41, demonstrating that he accepts and gives into society pressure once more, becoming a passive young veteran who will forever be regarded as disabled. The figure has assumed his role as an object of pity, taking whatever pity they may roll. Line 42. Once more, underpinning his isolation from society created by using the pronoun they, the no disabled. The poem ends with an anxious plea. How cold and late it is. Why don't they come and put him into bed? Why don't they come? Line 45, 46. The repetitions of the last line, as well as the use of exclamation and question marks, emphasize his passiveness and dependence on others. The reader pities the figure that is no longer self sufficient and fears the cold, desolate, and lonely life awaiting him. We can conclude. To conclude, the poem is undoubtedly revealing the two nations' effects and forewarns future soldiers of the futility of war and the everlasting effects that it will have. The persona criticizes society for pursuing him to go while rejecting him later when he comes back disabled. This is conveyed through Owen's vital use of structure, characterization, setting, contrast, and diction. The poem succeeds in conveying these messages to the reader in such a way that they feel obliged to respond and accept it as truthful. Disabled is an emotionally occupying poem which makes the reader cry. Each sentence explained in this poem strengthens the cramps in the reader's body. This poem is highly motivating for those who wish to do something for their nation. It is an inspiration for those who are ready to die for their nation. C. D. Lewis, in the introduction to the collected poems of Wilfred Owen, written in 1963, judicially praised Owen's poem for the originality and force of their language, the passionate nature of the indignation and pity they express, their blending of harsh realism with the sensuousness untroubled by the horrors from which they flowered. Figures of speech and symbols in disabled. Use of simile. Owen uses only two similes in this poem. The first refers to the voices of the playing boys, which reminds him of pleasant rather than enforced leisure. Even so, their voices rang saddening like a hymn. It is the end of the day, although evening hymns are traditionally quiet and reflective. The suggestion here is that they are melancholic. Given the dusk he is depicting, Owen might have been thinking of the following hymn: The day thou gravest, Lord, is ended, the darkness falls at thy behest. Metaphor and personification. In the line 6, sleep is personified as a mother gathering her children to her at the end of the day, till gathering sleep and had mothered them from him. It is a gentle metaphor that conveys deep pity for a man who is cold and tired and yet unable to leave his position until someone, not a mother, remembers that he needs putting to bed. Images of girls and women. The metaphor of mother adds to the pain of physical isolation which runs through the poem. There are five defined references to girls and women, yet they do not bring comfort. Instead, they add to the man's suffering, touching him like some great disease. Line 1, 114. Owen's simile suggests that the girls make no effort to disguise their revulsion, touching the youth's flesh as if they are afraid that they might catch something later. They avert their eyes from him, preferring the strong men who wore wool. Symbolism. The broken figure at the center of disabled is a powerful symbol standing for the destruction and aftermath of war. The football game and the blood smear down his leg symbolizes the way in which at first many men saw war as a game to be won with honor and glory, but which ended in bloodshed and slaughter. The youth and innocence of the participants is emphasized over the first three stanzas. Owen refers to the boys, girls, and the face of the adolescent soldier which looked younger than his youth. Later, he mentions the lie about the lad being as old as 19 and young recruits. The solemn man of line 73 and the pity doled out by the institutions of the final stanza symbolize the insensitivity of what Owen sometimes called the nation, that is, the home front. The most powerful symbol of all is there at the start and the end of the poem. It is the darkness coming after day, the coldness and lateness of the penultimate line are symbols in their own way of the death for which the man awaits. In this way, our poem Disabled is completed. Thank you so much.